Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone you trust, someone you laugh with, share meals with, maybe even love, and wondered, what if they weren't who they seem to be? It's a chilling thought, I know, but in today's world, it's not just possible, it's happening more often than we think. The scariest threats in life don't always come dressed in black, breaking down doors. Sometimes they come in the form of a smile, a helping hand, a friend who always seems to be around. But you can't quite explain why you feel uneasy when they are. We live in an age where appearances can be deceiving, and unfortunately, many people learn that lesson too late. The headlines are full of tragic stories that start with the same line, "I never saw it coming." And the truth is, sometimes the most dangerous people hide in plain sight, behind the mask of a coworker, a partner, or even a family member. Let's get one thing clear right now. This isn't about paranoia. This is about awareness. There's a thin, often invisible line between being cautious and being careless. And when it comes to your safety, recognizing that line could be the difference between life and death. The problem today is that social media and technology have made it easier than ever for someone to keep tabs on you without your knowledge. Think about it. We share our locations, our routines, even our emotions, publicly. And while most people scroll past without a second thought, someone with bad intentions, they're paying attention, they're watching, they're learning. You see, not every threat announces itself with obvious red flags. Sometimes the people who smile the widest are the ones quietly orchestrating your downfall. And what makes it even more terrifying is that they often seem like the last person who could ever hurt you. That's why this video is so important. Because today, we're not talking about random what-ifs. We're diving into 5 real warning signs, behaviors, patterns, and subtle cues that may indicate someone in your life doesn't just dislike you. They may want you gone. And yes, I know this might sound extreme, but if even one of these signs resonates with you, if one story, one example in this video helps you see something you've been overlooking, it could quite literally save your life. So I need you to do one thing. Stay with me. Watch this video with full focus, not with fear, but with clarity, with awareness. Because the world we live in doesn't always give second chances. I've seen people ignore their gut instinct, dismiss the signs, brush it off as overthinking. And I've also seen people wake up one day, connect the dots, and realize just how close they came to disaster. Your intuition? It's there for a reason. And the more you understand how to decode the behaviors of those around you, the stronger and safer you become. So let's get into it. The 5 signs that someone in your life might want you dead. And we'll start with the first one, perhaps the most silent yet most dangerous of all, the silent observer. Because sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one who says nothing at all. 1. The silent observer. When surveillance becomes a weapon. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about it. Have you ever had that strange sinking feeling, like someone's watching you? You can't quite explain it. Maybe it's that same car parked across your street every morning. Maybe it's that random person who suddenly starts liking every single thing you post online, even though you barely know them. Or maybe it's your coworker who casually brings up your weekend plans. Plans you never actually shared. It feels like coincidence, but deep down your gut says otherwise. That's not just a feeling, it could be the first sign of something much darker. Because when someone wants to hurt you, or worse, they don't usually start with a knife. They start with a notebook. They start by watching. This is what I call the silent observer. The kind of person who doesn't just stumble into your life, they study it. They know your patterns, what time you leave for work, where you like to grab coffee, what park bench you always choose when you need some quiet. They're not guessing, they're tracking. And here's the terrifying truth. In today's world, it's easier than ever. Think about how much of your life is out in the open. Voluntarily, we check in at restaurants, we tag our gym, We announce vacations before we even pack our bags. We give away the blueprint to our lives, one post at a time. And that, my friend, is a dream come true for a predator. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm careful with what I share. But are you? Do you remember every app you've ever downloaded that might still be sharing your location? Have you ever connected your accounts to a fitness tracker, a rideshare service, or even just forgotten to turn off location on Instagram stories? It doesn't take a genius to figure out your routine. It just takes someone who's patient, someone with a plan, and they don't always work alone. Sometimes they use people you trust, mutual friends, co-workers, even casual acquaintances, to gather little pieces of intel. A harmless, "Hey, is Sarah coming to the party?" suddenly becomes confirmation of your whereabouts. But it gets worse. The silent observer isn't content with watching from a distance. Eventually, they get bolder. They may start showing up where you are, seemingly by coincidence. They may always be just passing by. But the truth is, these are tests. They're seeing how predictable you are, how easy it is to get close to you, how much access they can gain without raising suspicion. And if they're truly committed, they might escalate. Planting a GPS tracker in your car, hacking into your home security system, even befriending your barista or doorman just to gather details about your routine. Now, this might sound like something out of a thriller movie, but trust me, it happens more often than you think. I once knew a woman, let's call her Claire, who brushed off these exact red flags. She thought the extra attention from a guy at work was flattering, until one day she realized he knew the route she took to pick up her kids. He showed up at the pharmacy while she was filling a prescription he shouldn't have even known about. That's when it clicked. He wasn't just watching, he was tracking. She went straight to the authorities. And what they found was horrifying. Logs of her schedule, screenshots of her social media, even photos of her home. She was lucky, she caught it early, but not everyone does. So here's the message I want you to hear loud and clear. If someone in your life seems to always know where you are, if they show up a little too often, if they comment on things you've never told them directly, it's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. You are not crazy for feeling unsettled. You are not overreacting for taking steps to protect your privacy, because the silent observer is real, and they don't strike randomly. They plan, they calculate, and your habits, that's their roadmap. So take control, start with the basics. Turn off unnecessary location sharing. Limit what you post publicly. Pay attention to who shows up and when. The first step to protecting yourself is noticing the people who pay attention to you a little too closely. Because if someone is watching your every move, it's not curiosity, it's surveillance. And when surveillance becomes a weapon, awareness becomes your shield. The emotional manipulator, shun, love bombing, or psychological trap. Let's talk about something that can be even more dangerous than being watched. Being emotionally controlled without realizing it. Now, this part might hit close to home, because emotional manipulation doesn't show up in the form of threats or violence, not at first. It comes wrapped in care, it looks like love, and it feels like protection. But behind that affection, there's a trap. And if you're not careful, you won't see it until you're already tangled in it. This is what we call the emotional manipulator. It usually starts during a vulnerable time in your life, maybe after a breakup, a job loss, a family crisis. And right when you're hurting, they show up. They say all the right things. They make you feel like they're the only one who truly gets you. They offer comfort when you're at your lowest, praise when you're unsure of yourself, and attention when the rest of the world feels distant. But then it shifts, slowly. You start hearing things like, "Why do you need them when you have me? Your friends don't really care like I do. Your family just doesn't understand you. I worry about you being out alone. What if something happened?" Sounds like concern, right? But what's really happening is subtle isolation. They're pulling you away from your support system piece by piece until they become your only lifeline. Let me tell you what that looks like in real life. A friend of mine, let's call her Becca, was in a rough place after a tough divorce, and just like clockwork, someone from her circle stepped in. He was charming, attentive, always available. At first it felt like fate, but over time she stopped seeing her friends. She second-guessed herself constantly, and every time she tried to make her own choices, he'd bring up her past, remind her of her mistakes, or guilt-trip her into changing her plans. She didn't even notice how far she drifted until she realized no one else was in her life anymore. Only him. That's not love. That's control. And here's the method to their madness. It's something I call the triangle of control. First, they identify your emotional vulnerabilities. They learn what hurts you, what makes you feel alone, what makes you doubt yourself. Second, they offer themselves as the only solution. They frame it as support, but really it's dependency. They want you to rely on them for decisions, comfort, even your sense of self-worth. Third, they isolate you, not forcefully, but subtly, by sowing distrust, by creating conflict with others, by slowly convincing you that no one else has your back like they do. And here's the terrifying part. They comfort you after breaking you down. They'll say something that makes you cry, then pull you in and tell you it's okay, that they're here for you. They'll destroy your confidence and then build you back up in their image. They'll make you feel unsafe, just so they can be the one to protect you. It's a twisted cycle, and the more it repeats, the harder it is to break free. Because when you're emotionally exhausted, when you've been isolated from your friends and family, when your sense of self has been eroded, it's hard to know which way is up. So let me ask you this. Is there someone in your life who gets jealous when you spend time with others? Someone who constantly reminds you of your failures whenever you try to grow? Someone who makes you feel like you can't trust anyone else? If that's happening, it's not love. It's not protection. It's manipulation. And don't let their fake concern fool you. I just worry about you can be a weapon. You know I care can be a leash. You wouldn't survive without me is a warning, not comfort. Listen, real love never isolates. Real support doesn't control. If someone is systematically cutting you off from the people who love you while making you emotionally dependent on them, they're not keeping you safe. They're preparing to own you. And the truth is, emotional manipulation is often the setup. It's the foundation before something far more dangerous begins. Because once they've broken you down, they can do anything to you. So if your heart is whispering that something's wrong, listen to it. And if you've already been pulled into this kind of relationship, know this: you can still get out, you can rebuild, and you're never truly alone. Let's move forward together. In the next part, we'll look at a chilling tactic that's financial, not emotional, because sometimes the people who want to control you go straight for your money. Stay with me. 3. The resource controller. Controlling your assets, controlling your life. Let's talk about something most people don't think twice about until it's too late. Not every threat to your life shows up with violence or chaos. Some come in the form of a signature, a just-in-case conversation, a favor that slowly turns into a noose. Welcome to the world of the resource controller, a person who doesn't just want to be close to you, they want to own pieces of your life, piece by piece, quietly, legally. And if you're not paying attention, you might mistake their control for care. It often starts with the most innocent-sounding suggestion. Hey, why don't we just open a joint bank account? You know, in case something happens. Or maybe, I can take care of your bills this month. Just give me your login info. It's easier that way. Or even, let's put both our names on the house. It makes everything simpler. It sounds thoughtful, responsible even, but what you may not realize is that these small financial decisions, those shared responsibilities, can slowly become tools of complete control. I've seen it firsthand. A client of mine, let's call her Dana, was in a long-term relationship with someone she trusted completely. At first, he helped her organize her finances. Then he offered to co-sign her lease. Then came the shared credit card for emergencies only. Fast forward 6 months, and he had access to every part of her financial life, and she didn't even realize how much power she'd handed over. And when things turned dark, he drained their savings, maxed out the card, and used her information to take out loans in her name. He didn't just break her heart, he wrecked her future. Because here's the thing, when someone wants to control you, they don't always need to control your emotions. Sometimes they just need your passwords. These people play the long game. They work through legitimate channels, lawyers, notaries, contracts. They don't just invade your life, they embed themselves into it, legally, permanently. Every document becomes a chess piece, every shared asset, a trap. And worst of all, they build a story, a paper trail, so that if something were to happen to you, an accident, an illness, even a death, they're already positioned to benefit. It looks natural, clean, expected, and no one asks questions because all the paperwork is in place. Now I want to pause for a second and ask you this. Is there someone in your life who seems too interested in your finances? Someone who insists on being involved in every financial or legal decision, even if it doesn't affect them directly? Someone who says things like, "It's just easier if I take care of it," but you're left feeling like you've lost control? That's not generosity, that's a red flag. Control over your money means control over your options. And when someone controls your options, they control your life. It doesn't always come with malice at first. Some resource controllers may even believe they're helping, but intent doesn't change impact. You have to ask yourself, would they still be here if they couldn't touch your assets? Because the person who wants joint ownership of your home today may be the same one who walks away with everything tomorrow. So what do? First, review your accounts. Know who has access to what. Second, be cautious with legal documents. Don't sign anything without understanding every clause and who benefits. Third, trust your gut. If someone's interest in your finances feels off, it probably is. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. People don't always have to hurt you directly to ruin your life. Some just wait until you're no longer around to stop them. And when your financial life is entangled with theirs, they don't have to get their hands dirty. They just have to be patient. So take back your control, your bank account, your home, your future. These aren't just numbers and property, they're boundaries. And the moment you start protecting them, you start protecting yourself. In the next section, we're going even deeper into something that's harder to trace and even harder to fight. What happens when someone starts destroying your entire support system from the inside out? Stay sharp, stay aware, and whatever you do, don't ignore the signs. The network infiltrator, destroying your support system from within. Let me ask you something that might sound uncomfortable. Have you ever looked around and suddenly realized you feel alone? People who used to call don't anymore. Friends who used to trust you now seem distant. Family members act strangely cautious, maybe even suspicious, but you don't know why. And the worst part? You didn't do anything wrong, at least nothing you're aware of. If that sounds familiar, you may be facing something far more sinister than just a falling out. You may be dealing with the network infiltrator. This is a person who doesn't attack you directly. They go after your support system, quietly, methodically, and with surgical precision. Because here's the truth. If they can isolate you, they can control you. The network infiltrator is a master manipulator who plants tiny seeds of doubt in the minds of those closest to you. They whisper, "I'm worried about her. She's been acting off." They casually say, "Have you noticed he's been really distant lately?" They share false concern, all while acting like your biggest supporter. But what they're really doing is building a narrative. One that makes you look unstable, one that makes others question your judgment, your sanity, even your loyalty. Let me give you an example. A guy I worked with, let's call him Evan, was a smart, respected manager, He had a great team, a strong marriage, and a solid group of lifelong friends. But after a new friend entered his life, things began to change. At first it was subtle, missed invites, cold shoulders, and awkward silences. Then someone told Evan that this new friend had been confiding in others, saying things like, "I'm just really concerned about Evan's drinking," or "He's been acting really stressed. I think he's on the edge." None of it was true, but over time, those stories started shaping how others saw him. And the more Evan tried to push back, the more it looked like he was defensive, like he was hiding something. That's the evil genius of the network infiltrator. They don't just isolate you, they make it look like you isolated yourself. It's a tactic I call social assassination. The idea is simple. Destroy your reputation without ever lifting a finger directly against you. They manipulate your image through others. They stay innocent while pulling every string. Here's how it works. 1. They target your allies, friends, family, co-workers, the people who trust you. 2. They plant doubt. Small comments, half-truths, vague concerns that sound loving on the surface, but cut deep. 3. They let the dominoes fall. Eventually, people start questioning your behavior, your character, your reality, and suddenly you're standing alone, exactly where they want you. Here's the question I want you to really sit with. Is there someone in your life who seems too involved in your relationships with others? Someone who always hears the gossip before you do? Someone who plays the peacemaker on the outside, but chaos seems to follow them wherever they go? If that person is always worried about you, especially when you've never asked for concern, pay attention. Because the real danger of the network infiltrator isn't what they say to you, it's what they say about you when you're not in the room. And when they're successful, they don't just steal your friends or damage your reputation. They leave you emotionally exposed, with no one left to help when things go wrong. Now let me be clear. Not everyone who expresses concern is an enemy. Sometimes people do have genuine worries and love behind their words. But when someone consistently creates division between you and the people who love you, while playing the innocent victim in every situation, that's no accident. That's strategy. So what can you do? First, take note of patterns. Are multiple people pulling away from you after connecting with the same person? Second, rebuild trust with your core relationships, honestly and directly. Don't let someone else's words speak louder than your own actions. Third, confront the manipulator, not with anger, but with clarity, because they thrive in the shadows, and the one thing they fear is light. You deserve relationships built on truth, not manipulation. And you deserve to be surrounded by people who hear your voice, not someone else's twisted version of it. So stay aware, protect your circle, and never forget, sometimes the most dangerous person in your life isn't the one attacking you. It's the one turning everyone else against you. In the next part, we face the most chilling threat of all, the person who plans your fall with the precision of a professional and the patience of a predator. Stay with me, we're not done yet. 5. The calculated predator, rehearsing your demise before the final act. There's a certain kind of danger in this world that wears a friendly face. They laugh with you. They check in on you. They might even save you from situations they themselves created. But behind all of that charm and concern is a mind calculating your every move. A mind that isn't just thinking about hurting you, it's planning how to do it and get away with it. This is what we call the calculated predator. And let me be crystal clear. This is the most dangerous kind of person you'll ever encounter. Because unlike impulsive attackers, they don't act out of rage or jealousy. They act with strategy, with patience, with intent. Their goal isn't just your pain, it's your removal from this world. And they want to do it so smoothly that no one even suspects them. So how do they do it? They start small, testing your awareness. Maybe your car brakes feel off one morning. Maybe your garage door is left open again. Maybe a ladder was accidentally left in your path, and you brush it off as forgetfulness. But these are not mistakes, they are tests. See, the calculated predator needs to know a few things before they move. How alert are you to danger? How often do you notice patterns? How much can they get away with without raising alarms? And every time you overlook a red flag, they gain confidence. They learn, they adjust, they evolve. And here's where it gets terrifying. While they're rehearsing your demise, they're also rehearsing their alibi. They start building a cover story long before anything actually happens. They talk to friends and family about how clumsy you've been lately. They tell people how concerned they are about your forgetfulness, your health, your drinking, your decisions. And when something finally does happen, guess what? Everyone believes them. Because they've been setting the stage for months, maybe even years. So when the accident occurs, it's not suspicious, it's tragic. It's just one of those things. Let's bring this into the real world. Maybe they suggest you go on a hike, a difficult one, despite knowing you're not in shape. Or they book dinner at a restaurant with a history of food safety violations. Or they offer to drive you home after drinking, saying, "I'm good, it was just one glass." Every one of these situations is designed to look innocent until it's not. Because the truth is, every close call is a rehearsal. Every lucky escape is them testing how far they can push. And every witness they gather is a future shield. Someone who can say, "There's no way they had anything to do with this." That's how the calculated predator operates. They don't need to be strong. They don't need to be violent. They just need you to let your guard down. So let me ask you, has someone in your life created a series of strange incidents that always seem to end in your near harm? Do they brush it off with a laugh or say, "Wow, you're so unlucky lately," while offering help afterward? Do they keep showing up in moments of danger, only to be the first to offer assistance? If you've answered yes, you're not crazy. You're not imagining it. You might be the target of someone rehearsing their final act. And the scariest part? They still look like a friend, maybe even like a hero. But don't be fooled, because their kindness is a costume, their helpfulness is a mask, and their strategy is death wrapped in plausible deniability. Now, this doesn't mean we should live in fear of everyone around us, but it does mean we need to listen to our instincts, especially when something feels off but doesn't look wrong. Trust isn't given, it's earned. And when someone seems a little too involved in your accidents, when their presence always coincides with danger, when they're the first to say, "I told you so," that's not care, that's calculation. So what can you do? Start documenting everything: patterns, incidents, people involved. Strengthen your safety habits, camera systems, medical records, legal documentation. And most importantly, talk to people you trust. Don't isolate. Don't doubt your gut. Because if someone is staging your fall, the best thing you can do is make sure you're not standing alone when it happens. We've now uncovered all 5 signs that someone might want you gone, from the silent observer, to the emotional manipulator, to the cold, calculated predator. In the final wrap-up, I'll share how to protect yourself starting today. Because awareness is only step 1. Action is what saves your life. Stay alert, stay informed, and above all, stay alive. Let's take a moment to breathe and reflect on what we've just walked through together. You've now learned 5 chilling but very real warning signs that someone in your life might not have your best interest at heart. They might, in fact, want you gone. Let's recap them one more time. The silent observer, the one who watches your every move, learning your patterns while hiding in plain sight. The emotional manipulator, who uses affection to build dependence and control, all while slowly cutting you off from others. The resource controller, who gains access to your money, your property, your life, until you're no longer the one holding the keys. The network infiltrator, who turns the people closest to you against you, one by one, until you're left standing alone. And finally, the calculated predator, who doesn't just dream about your downfall, They rehearse it with terrifying precision. These aren't just characters in a thriller script. They're real patterns, real behaviors, and far too many people have ignored these signs until it was too late. But now you know, and that changes everything, because survival in today's world doesn't just depend on strength, it depends on awareness. So here's what I need you to do, starting today. Take notes. Write down patterns that feel off, even if they seem small. Strengthen your personal and digital security. Change your passwords. Check your surroundings. Build a support system of people you truly trust. And stay connected. Isolation is the enemy's greatest weapon. And above all else, trust your instincts, because your intuition is rarely wrong. If something feels off, it probably is. And the voice inside you, it doesn't need proof to be valid. It just needs to be heard. I'm not sharing this to scare you. I'm sharing this because I care. Because too many people become statistics, not because they were weak, but because they were unaware. You don't have to live in fear, but you do have to live with clarity. Because the truth is simple. What you do with this knowledge could literally save your life. So if this video opened your eyes, even a little bit, do me one favor. Comment below. Tell me which of these signs resonated most with you, or if you've ever experienced something similar. Share this video with someone you care about. You never know whose life you might be protecting just by hitting send. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. We're building a community where awareness, strength, and truth come first. Remember, your story doesn't have to end in silence. Not if you stay alert, not if you stay aware, and not if you stay connected. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll go even deeper into protecting your peace, mastering your mindset, and staying one step ahead in a world that doesn't always play fair. Until then, stay sharp, stay strong, and stay alive.